The rain came down in sheets that November evening, the kind that soaks through your bones and makes you question every choice that led you to be outside. Marcus stood under the flickering streetlight at the bus stop, watching the water pool around his worn sneakers. He'd been standing there for 40 minutes, watching 3 buses pass by, all too full to stop. His phone was dead, his wallet held exactly $6.32, and the termination letter from his job of 8 years sat folded in his jacket pocket, growing damp despite his best efforts to keep it dry. That's when he saw her. She wasn't anyone special at first. Glance, just another person trying to stay dry under the inadequate shelter of the bus stop. But something about the way she held herself caught his attention. Despite the rain, despite the cold, she was smiling. Not the forced smile people wear when they're pretending everything's fine, but a genuine warmth that seemed completely out of place in the misery of the moment. "Terrible night, isn't it?" she said, her voice cutting through the sound of rain hammering the metal roof above them. Marcus grunted in response, not particularly in the mood for small talk. He'd perfected the art of avoiding conversation over years of city living, but this woman seemed immune to his signals. "I'm Sarah," she continued undeterred. "And before you think I'm some kind of crazy person who talks to strangers at bus stops, I should tell you that I'm actually having one of the best days of my life." That made Marcus look up. Her clothes were as soaked as his, her hair plastered to her face, mascara slightly smudged under her eyes. If this was one of her best days, he didn't want to know what her worst looked like. "You're either lying or delusional," he said, then immediately felt bad for the harshness in his tone. Sarah laughed, a real, genuine laugh that somehow made the rain seem less oppressive. "Fair assessment. But hear me out. This morning I got fired from my job. My boyfriend of 3 years texted me to break up. My landlord informed me he's selling the building. So I have 60 days to find a new place in a market where studios cost more than my entire salary. And then, as I was walking home feeling sorry for myself, I watched a stranger help an elderly man pick up his groceries after his bag broke." Marcus waited, confused about where this was going. That stranger didn't know anyone was watching. He didn't do it for credit or recognition. He just did it because it was the right thing to do. And then the elderly man offered him money as a thank you. And the stranger refused, just smiled and walked away. And I realized something standing there in the rain, watching this whole thing unfold. "What's that?" Marcus found himself asking despite his determination to remain uninvolved. "That we're all just doing the best we can. And sometimes, the best thing we can do is something small for someone else. It doesn't fix everything, but it reminds us that we're not alone in this mess." Before Marcus could respond, their bus finally arrived, hydraulics hissing as it pulled to the curb. They climbed aboard, both digging for their fare. Marcus watched as Sarah counted out her change, coming up short by 50 cents. The bus driver, a woman whose name tag read Gloria, sighed heavily. "Look, lady, I can't just let you—" Marcus found himself pulling out his last dollar bill. "I got it." Sarah turned to him, surprise evident on her face. "You don't have to—" "I know," he said simply, dropping the money in the fare box. They found seats near the back, and as the bus lurched forward into the rain-dark streets, something shifted in Marcus. The letter in his pocket suddenly felt less heavy. "Thank you," Sarah said softly. "I know it might not seem like much, but that dollar probably means something to you right now." Marcus found himself telling her everything. About losing his job, about his mother's medical bills, about feeling like he was drowning and no one even noticed. The words poured out of him like the rain outside, and Sarah listened without judgment, without offering empty platitudes or unsolicited advice. She just listened. When he finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a business card, slightly damp but still readable. "This is my sister's card. She runs a small marketing firm downtown. They're hiring. I don't know if it's what you do, but if you call her and mention my name, she'll at least talk to you. No promises, but it's something." Marcus stared at the card in his hand. "Why would you help me?" "You don't even know me." "Because someone helped that old man with his groceries?" "Because you just gave me your last dollar." "Because that's what we do. We help each other through the storms." She smiled. "Plus, my sister owes me a favor. I'm just paying forward the kindness I saw today." The bus made it stop and Sarah stood up. "This is me. Good luck, Marcus. I mean that." She was gone before he could properly thank her, disappearing into the rain-soaked night. Marcus looked down at the business card, then at the window where he could see Sarah's reflection heading into an apartment building. On impulse, he got off at the next stop and walked back, but she had already gone inside. The next morning, despite every cynical instinct telling him it was futile, Marcus called the number on the card. A week later, he was sitting in a bright office, being interviewed by Sarah's sister, Rebecca. A week after that, he had a job offer, not glamorous, but stable, with benefits and room to grow. 3 months passed before Marcus saw Sarah again. He was standing at the same bus stop, no longer dreading the commute, but actually looking forward to the day ahead. And there she was, same smile, different weather. "Marcus!" She seemed genuinely delighted to see him. "How are you?" He told her about the job, about how things were turning around, about how he'd been able to make a payment on his mother's medical bills. As he talked, he pulled out his wallet. "I've been carrying this around, hoping I'd run into you," he said, handing her $200. "I know you gave me a business card, not money, but that card was worth more than I can say. This is me paying it forward like you said." Sarah stared at the money, then at him. "Marcus, I can't accept this." "You can and you will. Use it for whatever you need. Or give it to someone else who needs it. But take it, please. Let me be part of the chain." Slowly, Sarah took the money. Her eyes were bright with tears. "You know what? I'm going to do exactly what you said. I'm going to give it to someone who needs it." She paused, a mischievous smile crossing her face. "But first, can I buy you a coffee?" "I'd love to hear more about this job." They ended up at a small cafe talking for hours. Marcus learned that Sarah had indeed found a new job, a better one, and a new apartment. But more than that, he learned that their encounter had affected her too. She'd started volunteering at a homeless shelter on weekends, finding purpose in helping others navigate their storms. As they were leaving, Marcus noticed a young woman sitting outside the cafe, clearly struggling with the cold. Without thinking, he approached her and handed her a $20 bill. "Get yourself something warm," he said simply. The woman looked up, shock and gratitude mixing on her face. "Why?" "Because someone once helped me when I needed it." "Because that's what we do." Walking away, Marcus felt Sarah fall into step beside him. She didn't say anything, but she didn't need to. They both understood what had happened at that bus stop months ago. It wasn't just about $1 for bus fare or a business card. It was about seeing another person's humanity in the midst of your own struggle. It was about choosing kindness even when life gives you every reason to be bitter. The rain started again, light this time, and Marcus laughed. Sarah looked at him quizzically. "I used to hate the rain," he explained. "But now when it rains, I remember that night. I remember that even in the storm, there's always someone willing to share their umbrella." Sarah smiled that same genuine smile he'd first seen months ago. "Or in our case, a bus stop shelter and $1 for fare." "Yeah," Marcus agreed. "Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest ripples." They parted ways at the next corner, both heading back to their lives, to their jobs, to their own challenges and triumphs. But something fundamental had changed. They'd learned that humanity isn't found in grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. It's found in the quiet moments, in a stranger paying your bus fare, in a business card offered without expectation, in choosing to see others even when you're drowning in your own problems. Marcus never saw Sarah again after that day, but he didn't need to. She'd given him something far more valuable than a job opportunity. She'd reminded him that in a world that often feels cold and indifferent, there are still people who choose warmth, people who choose connection, people who understand that we're all just trying to make it through our storms. And sometimes, the most revolutionary thing we can do is help someone else through theirs. And so the ripples continued, spreading outward from that rainy bus stop, touching lives in ways neither Marcus nor Sarah would ever fully know. Because that's the thing about kindness. You don't always get to see where it leads. You just have to trust that it matters, that it makes a difference, that somewhere down the line, someone else will choose to be a light in someone's darkness because someone once was a light in theirs. The rain fell softer now, more like a blessing than a burden, and Marcus smiled as he walked home, already thinking about who he might help tomorrow.